Greetings, shepherds and Lapsley. This is Dan Stevens with news and notes from around the presbytery. Easter is getting close, and I know that Easter is getting close because I am getting more nervous as each hour goes by. I'm especially nervous this year about Easter because I have the opportunity to preach on Easter Sunday out at Grace Presbyterian Church in Trussville. I'm always grateful for the opportunity to preach on an Easter Sunday, and it's not something that I've had the chance to do very often so far in my ordained life. But I have to say that in thinking back to the previous times when I've had the opportunity and in preparing to preach for this Easter Sunday, I've found that those Easter sermons are some of the most difficult ones for me to prepare. I feel a tremendous pressure to try to capture all of the wonder and amazement, the joy of God's grace in the resurrection, to try to capture that in a relatively concise but inspiring message that will be meaningful, even transformative for all of the people who show up eagerly on Easter Sunday for worship. Now, truthfully, I know that that's an impossible task, and I know that the pressure I'm feeling is probably coming all from me and my own expectations about what I should be able to accomplish by the grace of God on a Sunday morning in preaching. But I share this anxiety and my nervousness because I know that others who will be preaching on Easter Sunday probably have some similar feelings about that day and that task. I also share this as a sort of reminder to myself and to all the members of our congregations and to our preachers and teachers, our elders, that the very best thing we can do is to make an offering, an authentic offering in response to what God has already done for us in the tremendous act of grace in Christ's life and death and resurrection. Yes, Easter Sunday is important, and the things that we say and do on that day and on every day are important and need to try to be a reflection of who we understand God to be. But God's resurrection of Christ was ultimately an act of free grace. It's one of the best things we have to proclaim as Presbyterian Christians, a free act of grace out of God's love for all people. It doesn't depend on us. God's already done it. God already loves us. God has already decided that we have a place in God's family. That's the wonderful good news that we have to proclaim and that we can live into. But the best we can do is not to put pressure on ourselves to make it perfect, but to make the most authentic and the best offering that we can summon from ourselves that reflects that grace and what it's meant to us in our lives and for the sake of the communities that God has given our churches to serve. I pray God's blessings for all of you and for all of our congregations as we move towards this Easter season.